I was 12 years old when I stopped loving the rain. Welcome back to Eco Nightmares, where we unveil the true horror stories of nature. Tonight, we bring you a nightmare that isn't just a story. It's real. And it's happening right now. Before that day, rain was magical to me. I loved the sound of it tapping on the roof, the way it smelled fresh and clean. I would run outside barefoot, feeling the cool drops on my skin, laughing as puddles splashed around me. But one afternoon, everything changed. The first raindrop hit my arm, and instead of the usual coolness, I felt a sharp sting. I wiped my arm and stared at my skin, red and irritated. More drops fell, and a burning sensation spread across my face and arms. I blinked as a drop landed near my eye, and suddenly, my vision blurred, my eye stinging as if I had rubbed soap into it. I ran back inside, panicked. My grandmother, sitting by the window, watched me with knowing eyes. "It's the rain," she said softly. "It's not like it used to be." I didn't understand what she meant. How could rain change? But the next morning, I saw it with my own eyes. The leaves in our garden, once green and full of life, were covered in strange brown spots. Some had curled up as if they had been burned. The bright flowers my grandmother had cared for so lovingly looked wilted, their petals thin and weak. Even the metal gate outside had faded patches, as if something had been eating away at it. Something was wrong. The rain burned. At school, I asked my science teacher about it. She sighed, pushed her glasses up, and said one phrase that stuck with me forever. "It's called acid rain." I had never heard those words before. She explained how pollution from factories, cars, and power plants released gases into the air. Those gases mixed with clouds, turning the rain acidic. Not enough to melt skin like in movies, but enough to damage plants, water, and even buildings. I felt sick. How could something so natural, so necessary, become dangerous? I started paying attention after that. I noticed how old statues in the city had black streaks running down their faces, their stone surfaces slowly eroding. I noticed how fewer fish swam in the small pond at the park. My grandmother told me that, years ago, the pond was full of life, frogs, dragonflies, birds drinking from the water. Now, it was silent. But the scariest thing? No one seemed surprised. People had gotten used to it. That night, I sat with my grandmother on our small porch, watching the sky. The clouds looked heavy, dark with the promise of rain. I asked her if she remembered when the rain was different. She nodded. "When I was a child, we never thought about rain being dangerous," she said. "It fed the rivers, the crops. It was a blessing." She looked down at her hands, rough from years of gardening. "Now, I wonder what we've done to deserve this." Her words stuck with me. If something as natural as rain could be poisoned by humans, what else were we doing to the world? How much damage had already been done? I couldn't stop thinking about it. It wasn't just about my itchy skin or the dying plants. It was about lakes becoming too acidic for fish to survive. Forests slowly crumbling. Ancient buildings fading. And the worst part? It was still happening. And yet, no one seemed to be trying to stop it. A few weeks later, my father and I took a trip to visit family in a nearby town. On the way, we passed a large industrial area, with thick smoke pouring out of tall chimneys. I rolled down the window, and the air smelled heavy, like burning metal. "This is where it comes from," I muttered. My father nodded. "The pollution?" "Yes. The acid rain." He sighed, gripping the steering wheel a little tighter. "We've known for years. But stopping it, that's another story." I sat back, staring out at the smokestacks. That was the first time I truly felt afraid for the future. It wasn't just acid rain. It was everything. The air, the water, the rising temperatures. The world was changing, and we were the reason why. But if we had caused it, couldn't we fix it? I didn't know the answer. I still don't. But I do know this. If we keep ignoring the warnings, one day, we'll wake up in a world that can no longer heal. And by then, it might be too late. If this story made you think about your actions, like, share, and subscribe to Eco Nightmares. Stay safe. Stay aware. And I'll see you in the next nightmare.